What's good? It's your boy, Jedi Jet P, a.k.a. Hans McGee, a.k.a. Vice Lavelle, a.k.a. Jet Perry. Nice to see you guys again. I've been here before, and you probably heard me before. You probably seen me before. Back on this episode of the Mike Squires and Friends podcast, I am the friend in question today, but we got this bad boy focused on. Well, no, we got this bad boy as in this episode.
Hey, can you stop calling me that?
We got this episode focused on the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mike Squires. He's sitting on. Well, you usually sit on that side. Anyway.
Yeah, I always sit on the side.
So that's your chair. Yeah. Well, this episode we're having a chat, chopping up. You know, having a good dialogue. When was the last time we did this?
We did. I think one
states,
for.
Right?
We did do one for 50 states, and I appreciate you always like.
How many episodes ago was that?
We just hit 100. We just hit 100 episodes.
Congratulations!
Dude. Thank you.
We had a soundboard. You know, I would have hit that.
Yeah, we hit 100 episodes, but no, it wasn't that. I think July. You know what I mean? July, August, September, October. We're here.
Okay. We're here. We are here, and we are in October. October. Would you like to tell the people what October is? Specifically tomorrow October 15th. I guess it'll be today by the time people watch it.
Yeah, people are watching it on the birthday, but I guess today is October 15th, my birthday, but we are filming this October 14th.
Yes, sir.
The last day of my 20s.
Yeah. The big 3-0. My boy is Unk. How's it feel? The last 12 hours before you turn into a next decade. You'll never be 20 again, in your 20s again. Yeah.
I woke up, obviously feeling like I am grateful. Let me just start by saying that. Like grateful, feeling good, very accomplished. I feel very accomplished of everything I did in my 20s. There was a little part of me that woke up this morning a little, not sad, but just longing. You know what I mean? Where it's like...
Longing for what?
A little premeditated nostalgia, but it's like, this era is coming to an end. Part of me is a little sad to see the 20s come to the end. I am very excited for my 30s because I have no other choice. But,
we all have a choice.
That's true. I could be a Debbie Downer about it, but no, I really think...
Kick the old stool if you're not feeling like turning 30.
Listen, guys, listen. That's a little dark, dude. That's not how we get down over here on the Mike Squires.
Never be in my 20s again, huh? But, we'll see about that.
But I will say that
was a joke. I'm sorry. We'll censor that.
Oh
I don't want you to get demonetized.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with 2-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications. Effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends.
I will say that I'm glad that the last year of my 20s, 29, was the best year of my life so far. You know what I mean? So I feel that I'm ending it on a high note. So that in some senses feels good.
As somebody who I've been a part of the journey since 2013, so pretty much most of the 20s, that we've known each other. I will say that I can attest to that statement that I feel like this last year has been probably the most eventful, I'd say, that you've had. Like, that since I've known you, I mean, between, we opened the year with, you're promoting the sample tape you were coming into 50 states. So yeah, 50 states started last year, rolled into 2025. You're still doing 50 states. We had the Connect 4 tournament in April.
Which feels so far ago. And you know what I mean? It's like, it almost like...
That's like mad shenanigans ago at this point.
That was like the gateway shenanigan. You know what I mean? That was like the shenanigan that set it off, that really set the pace.
So we had 50 states singles dropping at the top of the year. Connect 4 tournament in April. And then maybe May or June, you had the viral moment with the Macy's building. That was right.
Yeah. So like it started at the end of April, but like it really picked up momentum. Like May, dude. May 23rd and 24th. Like I remember those days specifically because I had to stop like looking at my phone, dude, because it just was like overwhelming in a great way. But like when your notifications are like that, it's good and it's bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's really exciting, but like I was just attached to my phone. But the thing is, like, because I've been in the entertainment industry for as long as I have, when that moment happened, I felt like I was very prepared for it. So I knew how to capitalize on it. Like I knew the content I had to do. I knew every play I had to make. So I felt very good. Like, because I think a lot of people will get like a moment like that and they just won't know what to do. You know what I mean? So when that moment came, you know what I mean? I was posting 4 times a day. I was throwing everything at like...
Yeah, every time I jumped on Instagram, it was like new video from Mike, new video from Mike, new video from Mike. So, but you hammered down, became a bit of a local legend around these parts. You
said it, not me, dude.
I mean, hey, I've seen it. Listen, this isn't Glaze. I we'll be outside like shooting content or something, and especially like in the height of the whole Macy's thing, like we'd be out there standing, shooting like a promo for one of his songs from 50 states. And there's like 11, 12, 13 cars honking because they see this guy in the suit. But we take that viral moment and we transition into the whole shenanigan with MrBeast.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you had an episode about explaining how that came about. So making the Cameo in the MrBeast video into helping another famous YouTuber, Eric, shoot this video in this mall.
Which you helped with too, dude.
Yeah, I was involved.
It's funny. A lot of people don't know. I have this like little pizza thing, but this is actually like signed by Eric.
Oh, that is. Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's like a little hidden gem in the podcast. No one would ever know that though, because I keep it pizza side front.
Shout out to Eric. I got to meet him too. I was actually watching the surveillance cameras throughout the whole process, making
shenanigan,
sure,
dude.
throughout the whole shenanigan, I should say, making sure he didn't get caught by mall security. And now, as we wrap up a pretty wacky year, exciting year, the final shebang of the entire 2025 timeline is this boxing match that you have coming up November 14th.
Yeah.
You haven't spoken publicly on the podcast about it, have you?
No, this is the first time talking about it publicly right now.
Floor is yours, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Tell the people what's going on. You're fighting. You're boxing.
Correct.
Right? And you have champion boxer, Stanford's very own Cordell Booker training you, correct?
The best in the game. Wouldn't have done it without him.
Please elaborate on this.
So Cordell gives me a call literally 2 weeks ago at this point. I have 6 weeks to really prepare for this fight. So I got a month as of today. And he calls me and he's like, there's this charity boxing event happening. Is this something that you'd want to be a part of? And I was like, sure. Not knowing that, like, I don't think he was, when he asked me it, I don't know if he was asking me to fight, to be honest with you. When he was just like, yo, is this something that you'd like help? Like, but then I talked to Nat, who's over at Revolution 2. And, I was talking to her and she's like, is this something you would fight in? And I was like, you know what? Yes, I would do it. And I think there was not that she was like shocked, but like it's not like no one had to convince me. I was like ready to go because everything that I do, I just love challenging myself. And I knew it would be a challenge. I knew that, how many times you get an opportunity to train with the actual champion, right? You know what I mean? So I was like, from that standpoint, I was sold. Do I love the idea of hitting somebody? Not in particular, but I will lock down and get it done because that's what needs to get done here. But I do love the idea that because I have this platform now, we're going to be raising money for youth boxing, which gets me excited. That's something that it's
dope.
Yeah, motivates me. And I also want to push, you can do whatever you want in this lifetime. If Mike Squires wants to be a boxer, all right, I'll show, and I'm going to put in the work and show the people what I can actually do. So, and listen, there's a lot you could say about me, but I'm not a quitter. You know what I mean? So I will be giving this my all. I'm training like it's my all. I've been training 2 times a day for the last 2 weeks. I'm not, I'm sore even as we're doing this, but I see myself progressing, and I'm really surrounded by good people that want to see me win. You know what I mean? Cordell has been, I would argue, I haven't had many coaches to compare it to, but the confidence and the knowledge that I'm getting from training with Cordell is making me ready for this fight.
Has it been tough getting conditioned for a sport you've never partaken in, especially a combat sport?
So, the obvious answer is mentally I'm there. The obvious answer is yes. Yes, it is hard.
It's the most important part.
But mentally,
70% mental.
Dude, and that's with everything I do. Mentally, I'm there. You know what I mean? I'm ready for this. I know that if I do this, I'm going to come out the other side better. A better person. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to learn a lot. So mentally, I'm there. I'm ready to go. I've been showing up every day. I've been putting in the work. I'm ready. The other parts of it, though, it's I do have a lot to learn. You know what I mean? As confident as I am, I also know that I am new to this and I got to put in the reps. I got to put in the work. I only have 6 weeks. That's not that much time to train for my first fight. But, trial by fire, I guess.
So the real question is that the people want to know, are you going to win?
Obviously. I have to, dude.
Do we have a Mike Squires guarantee that you're going to win this boxing match on November 14th?
I have to win, dude. I have to.
You heard it here on the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. Mike Squires, just like Joe Namath, has absolutely predicted a victory, unequivocally, with certainty, with his chest out. He has guaranteed victory in this boxing match, November 14th.
I'm a winner, dude. Winners don't lose.
All right. I like it. I liked it. I like that energy. You also have, before that boxing match, you have a citywide cleanup of Stamford, Connecticut. What are you doing here? You're cleaning up trash on the street? What are you doing?
Yeah, we are cleaning up the city of Stamford. I just really wanted to do something because a lot of the things I've done so far, right, have not got the community involved. As Macy's, we had a team that did it, you know what I mean? And people just watched it, which, I'm happy to do. With the Scalzi cleaning, it was really me and Ralph getting down there. Really Ralph and me just kind of facilitating that one. But this gives an opportunity for everybody who is now following me because of all these shenanigans, for lack of a better word, to get involved and actually make a difference, because a lot of people are always asking me how they can help. So I knew that my next thing had to be something that everybody could get involved with, no matter who you are. So October 25th, we got the citywide cleanup. I'm really excited for it. I was able to connect with the city of Stamford, which, is honestly a dream come true. I had the opportunity to meet with them and kind of tell them what my goal was with the cleanup. And my goal with the cleanup is to not only clean up the city, but to highlight the businesses, the organizations, the communities that are already in place cleaning up the city, because I'm not trying to overlook the people that already do a good job. So with that being said, we got this cleanup. A lot of people are involved. The city has partnered with me on it, which is an incredible thing. So they're going to be helping pick up some of the trash. And in a nutshell, that's that. Oh, and I'm going to have everybody record a video of them cleaning. So at the end, I could put this massive video of the city being cleaned up.
That's dope. You have any information to tell people where they can be for October 25th, how they can get involved with this whole cleanup?
I think just staying tuned on my Instagram for updates. There is a Facebook page that has like a community event page that people can join for more information. But yeah, just staying tuned on Instagram, because I think that's how my biggest way of communicating with people. Although people tell me TikTok all the time, but I have like, it's funny to me. Like a lot of people will say they connect with me via TikTok, but I don't know. I always felt like it's Instagram, but when I talk to people, they always say TikTok. So I don't know, but I'll be posting it everywhere. So as long as you're following me on socials, that's where the info will be.
All right. And you feel like you've accomplished a lot this last decade, right?
Yeah. You know, like because you know, you have all these thoughts as you're going into your 30s.
Right. A lot of reflection.
Yeah, a lot of reflection, and especially like just about the decade as a whole. And the one thing that I feel is that I definitely put the work in. You know what I mean? I definitely didn't skip a day. You know what I mean? I worked so hard. And maybe that's like part of where I feel like maybe I worked a little too hard and didn't give myself a little bit like I don't want to be so hard on myself going forward. You know what I mean? It's tricky though, because I think the way that I'm hard on myself sometimes is how I got to where I'm at. But simultaneously, like I got to give myself a little bit more wiggle room for fun. You know what I mean? So it's like, but again, I don't like have any, I'm very grateful that I've worked as hard as I did and got to where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't change a thing, but knowing what I know now, I'm going to treat the next decade differently.
So what are some highlights of the last decade in your 20s that come to mind, you know, when you reflect on the things that you've done? And is there anything you regret and that you want to change going into your 30s? Yeah.
There's definitely a couple of things that come to mind when you say that. I mean, I guess I'll start with like, you know, 2015 era, and then kind of like work my way up, because I see a timeline in my head. So in 2015, I was primarily shooting music videos, and I was like behind the scenes. You know, a lot of people, I wasn't really in front of the camera at all. You know, there's like, I guess that's like a big change over where I've become like from behind the scenes to in front. But in 2015, I was primarily doing music videos. I think around that time, I probably started having my first music videos hit like millions of views, which honestly, as a 20-year-old is insane. You know what I mean? I remember just feeling like, because, you know, not to go even further back on the timeline, but, you know, not that there was a ton of, I never had like a crazy amount of doubt, but people around you sometimes have doubt.
Well, it's natural that when you're pursuing creative endeavors, most people aren't dreamers, creatives, et cetera, right? There's plenty of artists, there's plenty of creatives, but the majority of people that you run into, I feel like throughout your life, are people who are more practical, and you know, they're gonna, whether, you know, they mean well, but they're going to kind of like
discourage you
unintentionally, maybe, like, you know, they're gonna kind of give you this like, well, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and, you know, kind of, you know, their insecurities, they're going to like spread to you, basically. So because they see Mike Squires, they can't really separate Mike Squires, the person, and Mike Squires, like, who could be a superstar. You know, they don't see that for you, because it's like, well, I've known this kid since, I don't know, elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever. You know, this is just Mike. You know, he's good at what he does, but like, come on, do you really think that anything's gonna come of this career? You know, but you know, it happens. It's a natural process for, I think, most artists. There's not many artists that you'll talk to and they'll say, oh, I've had 100% confidence in the journey the entire time. You're going to go through like some peaks and valleys.
Yeah. And, you know, as I hear you talk, you know, first off, I want to say that my parents directly have always been supportive. My mom and dad, 100%, you know them, 100% supportive. But, you know, some of my other family was definitely not. You know what I mean? And I remember the question I would always get is, are you making money? Are you making money? Are you making money? And like, you know, I found what I loved at an early age, which is an absolute blessing. And I've realized I've never been somebody to chase the money. You know what I mean? That's not why I do any of these things. And it's when I was having this conversation with Sarah yesterday, and, you know, there was an opportunity that arose somewhat recently where I was offered a good amount of money and I turned it down because it didn't align with my morals. You know what I mean? And Sarah jokes, she's like, we could have a house, we could have these. And I'm like, but like, it's just not true. I'm just grateful that I'm like not money motivated. But here's what I'll say to anybody who's out there chasing their dreams, don't prioritize the money. Prioritize what you love, get good at what you love, make the connections, just keep grinding and building your name. And I almost guarantee that the money will find its way. I'm not saying be dumb. You know what I mean? You got to make smart decisions. You got to be strategic. You got to put yourself in position to win. But the money isn't always everything. And sometimes most of the work that I've done for free back in the day has led to opportunities that made me more money than I would have even thought was possible. So
they do say, Quincy Jones said it once upon a time. He said, when you start thinking about money and being concerned about money in this art form, music specifically, God walks out the room. And, I feel like if you have a true love and passion for it, some monetary value will come of it somewhere down the line. You know what I mean? Because speaking from a personal experience, if I was worried about money, I would have quit this shit a long time ago. You know what I mean? It's really just like a burning passion for it. And I've made money in my career, you know what I mean? I haven't made life-changing money that, I'm sitting on a yacht yet, but it'll come. It'll come. And it does get discouraging sometimes and you can often kind of have like an imposter syndrome about you where it's like, well, if I'm not making money from it, it's not really a job. But internships, are you going to say an internship is not a job just because some internships are paid, but a lot of them aren't. And it's like you have the opportunity to get a position that pays. Would you say an internship is not a job? Like you got to treat it with that same level of respect that you would with a job. Otherwise, it'll never become a career or a job for you if you're just seeing it as like a hobby or just a little side thing,
You got to put the reps in. And I'll give you
10,000 hours.
I'll give you a so honest, real experience that I dealt with and exactly what we were just talking about. So when I was doing music videos, probably around 2015, 2016, I was working with Whit Lowry, who you know. And I never got paid from a single Whit video. There's a whole other there's a whole other conversation that we could have in this. I never got paid for a single Whit video. I went on tour with him.
How did that work? It was just like a pro bono situation?
I mean, the honest of the situation is that I'll take care of you when the time comes, is what I was told. We don't need to get into all of that. But the point I want to get into is that, I did all these music videos for free. I went on tour with him too. And on that tour, I got to connect with Watsky, right? So because Whit was opening for Watsky. Now, I never got paid for any of the Whit stuff. I got the only thing I got, what a per diem is?
Yeah.
So we were getting like per diem, which was like, I don't know, it might have been like $30 a day for like food and so that you could live. You know what I mean? But like as far as like getting, yeah, but as far, no, I'm telling, bro.
That's crazy, dude.
But I'm just telling, like,
hey, sometimes you gotta sacrifice, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say like, I'm still very grateful for, what Whit and I created and the opportunity it opened for me. Regardless of like where him and I are now, like it opened the door for me to connect with Watsky and so after I left Whit's team, and this goes to like talking about like eggs in one basket, right? So, I felt like I had, because I put a lot of time into helping Whit build up. So, after that experience and that kind of fell apart, I had this feeling in me where it's like, well, what now? Because I put so much time into, helping him build up. And then out of nowhere, after, touring with Whit and Watsky, seeing how I grinded for Wit, you know, George reaches out to me, offers me a life-changing job. You know what I mean? Like,
this is Watsky you're talking about.
Watsky offered me a life-changing job. And bro, like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it now because it was like, I had been grinding, like, and I was getting paid for music videos, but like, you know how it is when you're starting. It's like $400, $500, which is a good amount of money if you can stay consistent with it. But, and especially the type of work that goes into those videos, like, you know what I mean? I'm definitely working, like, putting my heart and all into these videos that, like, you know what I'm saying? Just, the money felt fair for back then, but it just was a lot of work. You know what I mean? And I think people underestimate if anybody else
was he offering you like a position as a video guy?
He offered me a position to come out on the road with him for tour. It was at that moment the best thing I've ever been offered. It like changed my life, dude. And for a lot of reasons too, because when I left Wit's team, I felt like I never wanted to tour again because of how the vibe was on that tour. And I just was discouraged. I was like, if this is how touring's going to be, I don't want to do it because just the energy was so bad. But then, you know, I ended up touring with Watsky. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade at like Wit. Like, I'm sure we've both grown a lot since then. I haven't talked to him recently. So I'm not like trying to throw shade or anything, but it's just how I was feeling in the moment, right? But when I toured with Watsky and saw how he ran his crew, I'd like that level of inspiration. Like, it's like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, this is how a crew is supposed to be led. Like, this is how winners win, dude. And I saw like how Watsky like talks and communicates with his crew. He makes everybody feel good. I saw how, and I'm sure, have you ever met George?
I don't think so.
Dude,
I don't think I've ever met one.
He's like very DIY. He has his hands on everything in like a healthy way though. You know what I mean? Not like overbearing, but like, you know, he knows how to run his crew. And, you know, I saw him be very selfless. Like, for example, you know, if there was a hotel and there were 7 beds and 8 of us, he would make sure his crew had all 7 beds and he would like sleep on the floor. Like, that's how, like, so seeing how George ran, I credit George for just opening my eyes to like how things should be run and like how to work with people and communicate in a very positive way that like gets people inspired to work with you, you know? So, you know, working with, you know, being able to tour with him and Webby too. And you obviously know Webby. Webby loves you, dude.
Shout out to Webb.
But, yeah, no, like seeing how they operate and run their things like was very inspirational to me. And, you know, if I didn't have them, who's to say I would have ever taken the leap that I did to bet on myself? You know what I mean? Because working with them, I learned outside of like them, you know, taking care of me like financially and it being like a lucrative job that I had with them. I also just was incredibly inspired with how they run their operations, and they both do it in 2 different ways. But like, I think the common thing is like how they treat their team. You know what I mean? And like, you know, when the people that work with Webb, the people that work with Watsky all have the group consensus, like these guys are the man. You know what I mean? They're always looking out and like, yes, we're helping them with their mission, but they're also looking out for us. So I really have taken that with me.
So this is around 2015, 2016. You're making music though.
This is 2017, 2018. Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, it's 2017. We're kind of jumping all around the timeline.
So you're making beats throughout that time, like that 3 or 4 year span, right? From 2015 to 2017, 2018. When was it that you decided, okay, I'm good with this music video stuff, but I want to become an artist?
Yeah.
You know, obviously you kind of played an executive producer slash producer role in the Mike Squires Pimo era, you know, but when did you decide I want to pivot into just music?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll run it back a little bit. So I've always been producing music. Like 2012 is when I started. So like even when I was doing videos, I was always doing music on the side. Like I always had this vision back in the day of being like a one-stop shop for artists. Like an artist could come to me, like I could produce the song, we could shoot the video, like I could be the whole package. Okay. That was like, you know, I guess my mission has changed a little bit since then, but as I was coming up, that's like what I wanted to be. in 2016, that's when P and I start rolling out singles. And like when I say rolling out, like at this time, like we don't know anything about anything. Like I'm talking about just YouTube and SoundCloud. You know what I mean? We're not on Spotify. We're not on any of these major, you know, platforms. And we ended up getting a deal with Sony Red, which is now The Orchard. And, you know, we learned a lot from that. Like, so we were able to get, that's how we originally got our music onto DSPs. And that happened in 2017. And like in that batch of songs, you know, we have, I don't remember, I know there's a song called Sinking Ship. I know there's a song called Working, but the standout song of that group was Come Home. And so Come Home actually had been out for a little bit. And then Come Home comes out on DSPs though. It has like a pre-run before it hits Spotify where it's like out to the public, but not on Spotify and everything. And then once it hits Spotify, the song starts going absolutely crazy. And by the time, like I remember it because it was my 21st birthday, Come Home hit 1 million streams. And I think that milestone gave me the confidence.
So that song hitting 1 million streams is when you were like, oh, I think I'm actually good at this music thing.
I think just, you know, not
or
like
that it could work.
You don't like want to focus on the metrics too much because, you know, I had confidence in myself as a producer before then, but when the metrics are hitting, it makes it a lot
Gratification.
easier. It just makes it easier. It's like, it's easier to explain.
So what's the difference, like, if there is a difference, do you feel like, because I haven't had anything hit 1 mil yet, but what is the difference between a music video you shot for some other artist hitting 1 million views versus one of your own songs hitting 1 million views?
It's a big difference because, you know, where I love all the music videos I've done, like, you know, Wit and I have music videos with, I think, even tens of millions at this point. Webby, probably the same deal. But it's kind of the way I say this other statement too, where it's like, you know, the $100 I make as Mike Squires is better than the $1,000 I've made being someone else's whatever. You know what I mean? Because like, there's something to be said of like, yo, I did this myself. I built it myself. I bet on myself. And, you know, maybe it's not as big a win as like some of the other people I've worked with, but it's still a win. And it just shows proof of concept where you can really do this on your own and you just got to double down and hone it in. So when Come Home hit 1 million, it's like, it's crazy though. Cause you know, we're talking back almost 10 years now at this point, which is crazy. It's we don't need to go. Yeah. We're talking 10 years. Like,
what was that? We're 2017 we're talking?
Yeah, dude. I was 2017. I was 21. It's my 21st birthday, bro. Yeah. Wow. So, but when it hit it, like, it's just, you know, and I was on tour at the time too. I was in Tampa, Florida. I stage dove that night. It was just like a good birthday. You know, I remember coming into that birthday just like, and I, you know, as we were getting closer to my birthday, like I see the numbers climbing. I'm like, yo, this might hit 1 milli on my birthday. You know what I mean? So I think the fact that it happened on my birthday, I know I just said that 50 times, but the fact that it happened, like, just made it like that much more memorable. And to me, it just showed what's possible. And, you know, listen, parents don't understand everything, but they understand 1 million listens. You know what I mean? They understand that that's a lot of people listening. So, you know, being able to explain that to my mom and my dad. It's funny, my dad will call me like a stockbroker and it'll be like, what's it at today? You know, like it used to be a conversation for a while. He's like, what's Come Home doing today? You know what I mean? So right. Like, it was just a fun thing. And I think it was like not only rewarding for myself, but rewarding for my parents to see that, you know, and I explained it to them. I explained like what this like translates to in money. So they understand like, it's also like lucrative and, you know, parents want to see their kids successful. So it's like, you know, I think it was just an overall rewarding thing and just fuel to keep going.
And then transitioning from cameraman to making your own music with Pimo to then becoming a solo artist.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
So in the same way that you had a moment transitioning from video guy to music where you were like, you know what, I want to try this music. I'm going to pivot. You pivoted again and said, you know what, I want to become Mike Squires, the solo artist. Do you remember the day, the moment where you felt like the confidence, like, you know what, I want to try this. I want to try this as my own entity in music.
Yeah, and it kind of, there's a little backstory to it, but, you know, in 2019, I toured 9 months of the year. Like, I was on the road for, you know, 3/4 of the year. And that's how I was making my living, and I was making a very good living from touring. And I'll quickly shine on that too, because I was making a great living because not only was I shooting for the headliners, but all the openers had me hired too. So I was like, really, like, I still live off of that money. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest with you. So I did really well in 2019. 2020 comes, you know, touring gets halted. You know what I mean? Like, I just watched my career go from flourishing and great to absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? And, you know, I talk about making money on like certain things. I lost so much money that year. It was devastating because I had, like, me and P had invested a lot of money into a tour that we got out on the road for a week and got canceled. So, you know, it's a roller coaster. You know what I mean? If you're going to be an entrepreneur or like any creative or anything and bet on yourself, there's going to be high moments that you're going to feel great. There's going to be low moments that you're just going to need to learn from and keep it pushing, you know, and things are out of your control. You know what I mean? It's like no one could have predicted a global pandemic, but, you know, things happen. That's just part of the game. You got to be able to adapt and keep moving and not let it hold you down and set you back because, you know, if you can get knocked down, but you can't stay down. So getting it to your answer. So now, you know, my career as a touring videographer and photographer is dead. And for the time being, at least, you know, and now I have to get creative. So, you know, in that I create my photo book, which is somewhere's back there, which I'm like very proud of. And I think the success of like the photo book was a big deal for me too, because it showed that I could create a product and people support it. You know what I mean? That was kind of the first, and I always wanted to do it. Oh, there he is.
There we go. I don't know if it's catching the focus.
Oh yeah, there we
Do
are.
it like the YouTubers do.
Available now on MikeSquires.shop. That is MikeSquires.shop to get your copy of the Believe Before the World Does photo book.
Give them your money.
Yes. But yeah. Nicole, you might have to spread the legs. Pause on that. A major pause, dude. Yeah, might have to. So that gave me the confidence that I could release something and it be successful. And 2021 came around. I was already kind of dabbling in 2020 with like producing an album, like for myself. But 2021, and we were still inside. And I was just like, well, I got nothing else to do. I got nothing to lose. You know, I'm meant to be a creative, that I know. So that's where I take a swing at bat for Sample Tape 1. And I do that project and it goes over really well, like really well. And, you know, I didn't expect to receive the amount of, and the first, you know what, to run it back, like the first song that I released as a single was Take Me Home. And it's like, you know, a song where I talk about my house burning down, which is something I wanted to do for a long time. Cause like, you know, music's like a form of therapy. And I like, there was a lot that happened there that I just kind of wanted to get out there, you know? So, I do that and Sample Tape 1 is successful. And then the rest is history, where it's like, you know, proof of concept. Like I've done it once, I could do it again. And what's really cool about building a music catalog is, you know, as you build a music catalog and you have, you know, these moments of successful songs, it's nice because then you can start really creating. I was creating what I wanted, but like when I made Sample Tape 2, like that album was dialed in exactly what I wanted that album to be, where it's like, you know, there are some things that you can do to like help your song stream. Like there's songs I could put on the album because they're streaming well. And that's kind of what Sample Tape 1 was, because I had a lot of songs out there that were streaming well but didn't have a home, right? So when I made Sample Tape 2, I was less worried about it performing well, and I just made the album I wanted to make. So yeah.
And so after Sample Tape 2, well, Sample Tape 1 and 2, it's like, okay, Mike Squires is now known as a solo artist, right? You had a couple songs that you had your vocals on. I know now we'll get into that. But I know now you're planning a project with completely 100% Mike Squires vocals, correct?
Correct,
We'll
dude.
get into
Yeah,
that.
we can talk about it.
We'll get into it. But transitioning from Sample Tape 2 into 50 States, the 50 States era, you know, now you've got this formula down to a T. Producer, you know, occasionally throw some vocals on a song, curator of the music, and then you get into this super ambitious project where you're working with an artist from each of the 50 states, right? We're not going to retread too much water on that because we did have a full episode on that. You should go check that out. I'm sure he'll link it somewhere. You go from 50 states into this current era we're in. I don't know what you would label it as, but it's like a pseudo content creator, social figure type role where you're more than just a music artist at this point. I feel like a lot of people now that the way that they know you, if you were to mention, oh, I also make music, they'd be like, oh, really? You know, they'd be surprised by that. You know, I feel like now you're kind of you're just Mike. People just know you as Mike Squires. What do you want to accomplish going into the next 10? How would you like to be perceived, and what like kind of bucket would you like to fall into? Or is it a thing where you're kind of just like, hey, your ambition knows no bounds at this point?
Yeah, I think with this year, it opened my eyes a lot, and I call it the best. It's easily been the best year of my life, and I think that's because I believe that I found my purpose, man. And I know that sounds like cheesy and cliche, but like when the Macy's thing happened, I feel like I kind of just like hit like an oil spill of this, and I just like tapped into this insane energy in my life, personally, and it just was really rewarding. Where, you know, I didn't even know, like, because it's not like I planned out Macy's. You know, there's a lot of things in my career I plan out. This is me just like, all right, I got to be more consistent with content. Like, this building is so disgusting. I really want to do something about it. Let me just try to shoot a video, right? And, you know, I tap into this energy where it's just positive. Like, the whole community want to get this building clean, and it just was like a really like, I've never seen, like, at least in my life personally, like people rally behind something and it just overall be very, very positive. You know, so it just wanted me to keep that up. And that's like, you know, we did the thing at Cummings Beach where we did this pop-up where we brought a life down there and a lot of people got to experience it and have a good time. We did the Scalzi cleaning. There are kids that play on this playground all the time. It's gross, you know what I mean? But not anymore. We cleaned it. And it's kind of like this energy of like where I've tapped into where, you know, now because I have this following and this platform, I just feel that part of my responsibility is to kind of maintain and just keep this positive energy because I have a lot of kids that follow me. You know what I mean? I really like, that's been the most insane part of this all. And, you know, back to kind of the music, it's like, you know, the kids might find me through whatever shenanigan I'm doing, but it always ends up back at the music too, because I have kids that are sending me messages of like them listening to The GOAT. They're listening to like even songs I made years ago that I'm like not even on my radar anymore. But I think it all just, you know, cliche, but I just want to continue being myself and challenging myself. And that's the goal, is just to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible and what's not. You know, if you told me 10 years ago this year was going to play out the way that it did, I probably, not that I wouldn't have believed you, but I would be like, that's what I get to look forward to. You know, I'd feel great about it. So I'm really excited that I'm coming off the best year of my life, and hopefully this energy continues. You know, I think the challenge is to just keep challenging myself. That's why I'm doing the fight. You know, I'm doing the fight because it's a challenge. You know, I'm sure there are people that are like snickering, bro. They're like, oh, Mike's going to fight. You know what I mean? Like, dude's never... But that's what gets me excited. Like,
yeah, no, when you first told me, it was hilarious. I was like, what?
Everybody do.
And you asked me, you were like, yo, should I do this boxing match? I'm like, why the fuck not? That sounds crazy. Like, you know, and you get to like, it's not like you're just doing some shits and giggles, like little low budget backyard fight.
No, it's like a real deal fight, dude.
Yeah, it's a real deal, like charity event. You know,
Dude,
you've got a professional boxer training you.
I've
like,
lost almost 15 pounds since I started in like 2-3 weeks, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm putting the work in, I'm eating, and that's the thing. I really want to encourage people to get outside of their comfort zone. If people laugh at you for something that you want to do, good. You know what I mean? Because that means you're doing the right thing. Because that means you're actually challenging yourself because nobody believes in you. And
people hating also is a telltale sign that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Because people who fall in line and they walk the walk and they kind of just blend into the background, who's hating on that? Because everybody, you know, that's the formula. You know, that's what you're expected to do. So there's nothing to hate on. But like people that put themselves out there, you know, I mean, this obviously is applicable to artists or creatives or, you know, people like yourself that you're on camera, you're putting yourself out to the public, and that leaves you vulnerable for scrutiny and hatred. You know, a lot of the time it's like unwarranted. Sometimes it's just like, I don't like the cut of his jib. I don't like the way he smiles. I don't like the way he, you know, he's got that happy-go-lucky attitude, you know, and some people don't buy it. But, you know, this is the, you know, I know you, obviously, and it's just, it's been dope to, like, see the progression, to see the arc.
I think, you know, there's a couple thoughts I have there, but the big thing too, like going back to Watsky and Webb, one thing that I learned with those guys is what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something like I've always, and you really just got to be yourself and just, you know, don't put up a front. You know what I mean? Because I know like a lot of
people can see through that, you know, the smoke and mirrors.
The facade of it,
yeah,
dude.
when it's a facade, people sniff that shit out really well. So,
and especially in the age of social media, it's like you can't be consistent and not be yourself, dude. But I mean,
well, there's plenty of people who do it, but
yeah,
you know, I feel like people can tell when it's an act, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's hard. It's just harder to live that way. For me personally, I'm the worst liar in the world, dude. Like when I'm lying, even if it's like something about like innocent or something, like Sarah snipes it in a second. She's like, apparently I do this tongue thing, like where I stick my tongue out. Yeah, like
you'll say something cheeky and then you're like, like, all right, well.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like I can't lie. Well, that's. I guess that's
fucking Pinocchio's nose. It's
yeah,
just
dude,
like,
I can't lie, dude. I'm like really bad at lying, so I just don't.
Right.
But the point, it's the big thing that I live by. I literally live by this quote, dude. You got to believe before the world does, and that applies to every single. Oh, back to the book, guys.
Back to the book.
But no, you really do, because it's like, bro, the things that I want to do in life, everyone's going to tell you is impossible. The things like I want it, like, dude, if I told somebody a year ago that I was going to attempt to be in a MrBeast video, they'd be like, good luck, buddy. You know what I mean? They told me I was going to do a song. I mean, people did, bro. I told people I was doing a song with an artist from each of the 50 states, bro. People.
Yeah, they probably laughed you out the building.
Bro,
look at this guy.
Dude, when I said I was going to make a career, listen, all right, I'm going to sit up real quick for this one, dude, because when I said I was going to direct music videos, people were like, how are you going to make the money? You're never going to make that to a job. I did. When people said when I said I was going to produce music and like have a successful, lucrative music career, people doubted me. And then all of a sudden my songs are hitting, like, you know, Come Home at this point, it's 10 million streams and millions of streams on everything else. It's like, so I did. And then everyone's asking you how you do it. And it's just like, you just got to keep challenging yourself and proving to yourself that it's possible, because people are going to push you down. People are going to hate. People are going to discourage you. They are going to doubt you. You need to lock in and just know what you're possible for yourself. Don't listen to these people, because you might see it for yourself, but if they don't see it for you, it's just going to discourage you, and that's that, dude. So you got to be riled up thinking about it, but that's the thing that motivates me. And especially now that I have this platform and I have a lot of like young kids that are watching me, I want these kids to know that if they set their mind to whatever they believe in, they can make it happen, no matter who in this world is doubting them, no matter who's hating, no matter who's saying they can't do it, they can.
So, you know, I started asking the question. I don't know if I actually got it out. I asked what's next. You did say...
I took us on a journey.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Yeah, I took us on a journey.
You did say that you wanted to continue to challenge yourself going into your 30s, right? If we niche down and get a little more specific, musically, what do you have planned for? What do you have in the tuck going forward?
So I am dropping. I'm going to drop a solo album next year. That's my goal. My goal is to drop another solo album. I have the name. I actually have 8 out of the 12 songs produced.
Are you ready to announce that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, all right.
But
A little too far out.
a little
right
too
now.
far. A little too far out.
We're
'cause
getting in 2026.
We're 2026. It'll come out for sure.
Okay.
But I think another goal for myself too, outside of that project, that's the project I'm doing for me. The
Right.
project I really would love to see for myself is I want to challenge myself and make a hit, dude. So we were talking about this today, but I want to make a song that is so undeniable.
You feel like you haven't made that yet?
No, because I haven't been on
You
the
have songs with millions of plays. But is the radio is that like
I want a song that you hear going into your barber shop. I want a song that you hear going into Target. I want a song that you hear. That's the type of song I want to produce, a song that you can't escape. You think of those songs like that, yo, that year we couldn't escape that. So you couldn't escape Fetty Wap in 2015. You know what I mean? I really want to create and challenge myself to create a big song. And I believe that, if I can create the banger of a song, I know that I'll be able to promote it to the point where it becomes one. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of the game. A lot of artists think making a good song is the end of the battle. It's the marketing. You know what I mean? Getting it used and there is a lot of luck. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and just say
a lot of those songs do make those. Well, there are some that are organic, but
you think
a
of
lot of those get pushed by machines, like the labels and stuff like
you think
that.
of a Lil Nas X, dude. You take an Old Town
The
Road,
Old Town Road.
which I know is an anomaly, but he was very smart about it, dude. He was making all these cowboy clips with the song, and it was funny, dude. He was able to organically engineer it, and maybe down the road it got picked up, and he had the Billy Ray and everything. But
it's a tricky one because you want to have a hit that you had on your own terms, but you don't want to get too gimmicky with it, because then
it's hard to maintain. But
Lil Nas X, I will say he did a good job, kind of transitioning out of that cowboy thing and kind of getting into a different branding for himself.
And he had a very successful album. And the thing is, I'll worry about the next play once we get there. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are well, now that you're the Macy's guy, how are you going to flip it in? I don't know. I'll figure it out once I get there.
JCPenney's.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it's sometimes, and that's another thing. I think you can only plan so much. You know what I mean? People try to plan, they try to do this, and a lot of the battle is going. And in order for me to have a hit, maybe I have to make 50 songs that I think are hits. You know what I mean? I don't know what it looks like, but I know that nothing will happen if I do nothing. So I just need to stand up to bat and just keep hitting those home runs,
Right. Well, Mike, it's been a good little convo we had.
Feeling good.
We've had quite a few of these conversations off camera. We get a little more in depth off camera, but I feel like this was a nice little summary of the last 10 years, which is crazy. And as somebody who's seen you through the whole journey, because we met when we were, at NCC, we had to be 18. So, as somebody who's seen the whole journey the last 10 years from 20 through 30, it's definitely been, and I'm sure you get your flowers all the time, but I'll give you your flowers on camera so you can look back on this 10 years from now and get all mushy. But, as somebody who's seen it firsthand, it's been very inspiring, very motivational for me, even as a creative. That's, obviously we've worked on stuff together, but to see that your drive is unwavering, to see you kind of reinvent yourself in all these different lanes and different paths throughout your career, and continuing to do so going into 30, it's a beautiful thing to watch, man. You should be very proud of yourself. And when I get those urges, those moments, and I do get them, of discouragement, I'm like, you know what? You're one of the examples I have close to me that are I see what he's been doing. He's, you know what I mean? I can't quit. Can't quit. I see what this guy's doing. I gotta keep it going. So I want to thank you personally as somebody who
You made me cry, dude.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
I see it well enough. I see it well enough. Oh, we clipping that shit.
No, dude.
No, but yeah, just I feel like everybody's too tough to like tell their homies like, you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
if it's ever in doubt, you're doing a good job, bro.
Thank you, man.
It's been an honor to watch the progression throughout the years. And happy birthday, of course.
Thank you, dude.
This is Jedi Jet P, Hans McGee, Jet Perry, here with Mike Squires.
Yeah. Can I say a couple things I'm grateful for before we get out of here?
Yeah, go ahead. For sure.
Yeah, because, one, right off rip, like, I'm obviously grateful for our friendship, dude.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, you've known me for a long time, and, like, as life goes on, you learn that, like, you can only count your real friends, like, on your hand at some point. You know what I mean? There's very, very few people I trust to sit in that chair, dude.
That's another thing. It's like the people who are here at 20, how many are here at 30, So
Not nearly as many, dude.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But I am grateful for the people who are. I am grateful.
Reasons and seasons, as they say.
Yeah, and it's like you can only put so much in a podcast, but like in this decade, found the love of my life, Sarah. So I'm like grateful for her.
Sarah J. Nasty.
That's her Fortnite name. If you guys want to add her, she's nice
Gets
with it.
mad
dude.
fucking friend
That'd be
requests
crazy.
after this.
This podcast just happens to go crazy out of all of them, dude.
Right.
But no, I'm grateful that, like we've talked about, but I'm grateful that I've been able to live as a creative for a decade. Dude, I don't take that for granted, bro.
Yeah.
Like that always was the goal. So I'm living the dream. You know what I mean? No matter how you look at it, you could always think the grass is greener. There's always another rung on the ladder to climb, but I am doing the thing I set out to do.
Absolutely.
And now it's even more rewarding because now that I've made it here and, I'm going to get emotional, dude. But now that I've made it here and, it's lucrative and I've kind of figured out my way, I can give back now. You know what I mean? For the times that I was down in my life and people were giving to me, I now have become that dude that can pay it forward and help the people out. So I am forever grateful for that. And that's something that, fulfills my spirit. And, the goal for the next 10 years, I hope that I can just keep doing exactly what I'm doing, because if I can, that'll be a life that I would love to live.
Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind if the 30s are anything like the 20s, you'll be just fine. Many blessings on the birthday. The 3-0, Dirty 30. You never forget it. Yeah. Anything left? Anything left to say? Final thoughts?
I think that's it. And I'm looking forward to being 30, guys.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, maybe make it a tradition, like to do it every decade, dude. So
yeah, like,
I would love, you know what I mean? Like what a fantastic thing would it.
Hopefully we're doing it in like a villa in fucking, I don't know,
Still
Monaco.
in the back of the Stanford Town Center 10 years from now, dude.
Right.
But
maybe it'll be a whole different context behind it.
No, that's true, dude. But yeah, no, I'd love to have you sitting in that chair at 42, man.
Yeah. Let's see how we'll make it happen.
Let's go, dude.
Until the next time that we see you guys, it has been a pleasure. Once again, I am Jet Perry, here with my good friend Mike Squires. We are signing off on the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. We'll see you next time.